Hey y'all, it's Farmer Meemaw, and today I'm being a little selfish is it really selfish? I'm focusing on doing the thing instead of doing the thing perfectly. And right now, at least for now, my brain cannot handle editing videos. I cannot handle cooking, cleaning, all those kinds of videos, okay? But I can definitely handle sitting here and chatting with you. And not only that, but it kind of, even though you're not right here talking to me, when you comment and let me know like what this video made you think of or what it reminded you of or just what you think of it, good or bad, that interaction feeds my need for just having friends and people to talk to, because I consider y'all my friends, okay? And it's kind of funny because here recently I have felt driven to be quiet and to be alone and to just bring my thoughts together. And what has happened here, I've started walking, trying to get those steps in. I've started walking at this wonderful new place I have access to down by the river. And there is a new bridge, and I walk back and forth on this bridge. Well, the first day I went out there by myself just to be alone and soak up the goodness of God and just, talk to God, spend time in prayer, just thinking, just being in nature. And before I even get up to the bridge, a car drives up. And I pay attention to it because at that point I was out there by myself. And I'm always, wanting to be aware of my surroundings. But not that anybody could ever kidnap me or anything like that, y'all, because I'd go limp noodle and they wouldn't be able to lift me. Anyway, so there's a car and it's a man. I can see that it's an older man. And I'm like, okay, well, that precious older man is a talker. And he talked my ears off, y'all. Y'all know I like to talk. And so technically, I guess I did still get to be quiet. But the walk itself was not quiet because this man, and what's so precious is that he was talking about God. He was telling his story. He was talking about how he had kind of been led astray in his early journey as a young Christian into some New Age stuff. But he had since found his way back to true Bible-based Christianity. And he talked and just, bless his heart, he was just the sweetest elderly man. And he a little bit reminded me of my dad, who, passed away in 22, because my dad was a talker. I got it from somewhere, y'all, and I got it from my daddy. Drove my mother nuts. She used to say, "You're just like your daddy." But anyway, I digress. Let me go back. So, I was having this talk with this man, or he was talking, and I was listening, and we were walking. And then somebody else, another man, came up, and he was a younger man. And he came up, well, he was wearing a shirt that said, "Keep calm," and something New Age. Something to do with New Age. Well, that sparked something in the gentleman that I'd been talking to because it said New Age. And so he started up a conversation with him. And of course, I was standing there with him too because he hadn't finished the story he was telling me. And he was like, I'll finish it with you too. But then he has to start talking to this man. Well, that man was there to spend time with God, to praise God, because I don't want to tell his story, but God had changed his family's plans at the last minute, and it prevented a horrible tragedy in his family, and the loss of life would have been most certain. And so he was there praising God, but he also had other things going on in his life, and just between things that happened during that conversation, it was a blessing. And so that was a good day. And then there was one day that I went, and I think I pretty much just was there on my own, doing my own thing. And I was walking. I was like there walking, and I walked by myself, and I didn't walk very long, and my legs were in so much pain. All right. So I didn't stay very long that day. So then I go back again, and there's construction workers there. And by the time I got a lot of walking in. But by the time I left, I knew the foreman's life story, part of his dad's story, which was also part of Arkansas's history. And so I still didn't really get that quiet, alone time that I was really going after. Had a lovely time, but it wasn't a quiet time. And the reason I mentioned my legs hurting in that last one is because when people are around and I'm talking to people, my legs don't hurt. I can walk just as long or longer, and my legs don't hurt. They don't cramp up. I'm more relaxed. And it's like, this is, getting, and my point of walking to begin with, besides being alone, was to de-stress. That was the goal of being alone, really, was to like get rid of some stress. And so I realized, it just wasn't about me being alone. And then one day I was feeling stressed. Go to IHOP. This was like this past Sunday. Go to IHOP that afternoon. And just wanting to be quiet, I took my prayer journal, I took my regular journal and some colored pens, and I was just going to write everything out, get everything out of my head, just process everything. And I kid you not, the waiter asked me what I was doing. And of course, y'all know I'm going to give a little bit of a long-winded answer. But he didn't say that much. And he was like, well, let me sit down. Let me just sit down. He sat down in the booth with me. He was like, I have ADHD. I just need to sit down so I can focus. It's like, okay. So we chatted for a while. And I'm just like, maybe being alone isn't what being alone is what I wanted. Being alone wasn't necessarily what God wanted. And the funny thing is, when that fella, the waiter, sat down in that booth with me, I noticed my voice rising in excitement as I was talking to him about one of the scriptures that I've been focusing on here in the past few days. Well, since before Sunday. And I had the 2 videos I just posted. Here's part of that spider web. The last 2 videos that I recorded another one that same day. About this particular verse, and I went back to watch it again, and I was like, oh, I didn't like the way I talked about it, really. Like, I left a lot of really good points out, and so I go back, and I'm trying to understand the verse even better. Oh, the richness. I love Bible study. I love getting in and just picking verses apart to really get at the juicy bits, okay? And so I am going to do a video that will require, that will require editing. And I will probably film that video soon and wait until mentally I have the oomph to edit. But here's part of the selfish part. Y'all energize me. Y'all see this? If I'm here by myself and just dealing with stuff at home, I don't really smile a whole lot. I don't feel that joy, but whenever I talk to y'all, I feel that joy. And the funny thing is, I'm over here trying to be alone, right? But I've been praying that God would send me a friend. I just need a friend. Like, not family, not my husband, just a friend that likes the things I like and, that I can do things with. Just someone to talk to. Because we're not meant to be alone. And church is complicated. I do believe I need to find a church. I want to find a church, I have a lot of anxiety about going to new places around people that I don't or even that I do know. I have this very harsh fear of judgment, and I'm very fragile. Whew. I'm very fragile right now. And so I need an anchor person. Like, I need to go to a church where there's a person that I know and trust that can just, like, I can sit with them and you know, not have to worry about people thinking I'm weird, sitting off by myself in a corner, you know, or and talking to strangers and being socially awkward, and going and walking and meeting these people. I think are partly kind of building up some of my confidence in talking to other people. You know, right now I don't really have to, because you're not talking back, and so I don't have to worry about how to respond, or if my response to you is going to sound awkward, because I'll tell you, awkward. Saying goodbye to those people and ending conversations, transitions are hard for me, and the guy says something, and I'm like, you too, and it wasn't really appropriate for what he said. It's just like that sort of really socially awkward stuff, because I don't, you know, it's like social convention dictates, you know, that I'm supposed to do this. And that's how I introduced myself, because people would tell me their names. And I'm like, oh, my name's Jennifer. Otherwise, I'm never going to tell you my name, because I don't think about introducing myself. But I'm like, okay, they told me their names. Oh, I need to tell them my name, you know. And then later, after they had gone somewhere else and came back, they called me by name and asked me to take a picture of them with the bridge. And so all of these social interactions they're like feeding something in me that was going hungry. And it was God giving me that gift. The hunger may have been a gift. He was telling me, you don't need to be alone. And then he's sending people for me to not be alone. And I think that energized me enough that I could, okay, I want to start making some videos. I want to start talking about stuff that's going on, and specifically Jesus. So I'm probably going to be making more videos like this where I just sit down and chit chat. But if you don't want to hear about Jesus, you probably don't want to watch him or even stay subscribed to my channel, because I mean, Jesus is kind of my thing. That's the one consistent. ADHD and Jesus are two things that are not going to change. So anyway, so me being selfish is because I'm making these videos easy for me. I'm making these videos with me sitting down and not having to edit, because that's what I can handle right now in this phase of my life with this level of stress, until I can get my health and my brain back on track, back online. I haven't given up with that. I'm making easy videos, because if I didn't, I wouldn't make videos at all. Because that's why I go these long stretches, because I just can't. Life is just too overwhelming. But I can sit and I can talk, and it makes me feel better, and it gives me the energy so that I can then go and do all the things that are normally overwhelming, because I have this dopamine from getting to talk to y'all. So, and it's selfish because I get to talk to y'all, and it makes me happy. And I hope that these videos will encourage you. I hope, let me know if you think just tell me what you think. So, now to kind of the meat of this video. As if the rest hasn't been meaty enough. So, yesterday, God, a lot of times, whenever you just open yourself up to listen and to spend time in His Word, He will kind of reveal things to you. And what He does a lot, it's like He gives you confirmations. Like, ooh, here's a video about this topic, and ooh, now this is another video completely unrelated. I haven't typed anything into my computer about this, but this has been on my mind, and now I'm seeing a video about it, and now I'm getting this nugget from this place. It's a different place, unrelated, and that was just the verse that I read, and so this happened some yesterday, and it kind of ties into like why I was feeling like I needed to be alone and be quiet, and just the things that came out from that. So yesterday, I saw a video. Actually, the video was Jonathan Roumie, and he referenced a Bible verse. And that Bible verse, well, it was Acts chapter 3, verses 1 through 10. And it was about a beggar that he had some sort of affliction. He had, I think he couldn't walk. And so he's always begging for alms. And he asks, I want to say, James and John, Peter and John, whoever, for alms. And they didn't have alms to give him, but they were like, we can give you what we have, and that is, you know, the power of God or whatever. And they heal him. And I hate talking about it like this because, you know, I don't have the scripture in front of me, and I didn't just read it to have it referenced. But anyway, and so what that was speaking to me was, you know, he was a beggar. He was just asking for other people to support him. And not everybody, or, you know, there were probably a lot of people who didn't support him. But he kept going, and he was asking for people to support him. And ultimately, God was the one who changed his life, okay? And then after that, I watched an interview, and it was someone talking about the best advice that they got from someone, and it was basically stop waiting to be picked. Stop waiting for someone to come save you. Stop playing the victim. And the funny thing is, when I was listening to Jonathan Roumie, that was kind of the message that I got before I'd watched this video, was he was just waiting on he was just waiting for someone to help him instead of trying to do anything himself. Instead of asking God himself, which at that point he didn't know Jesus was there and he could ask God for the thing. But he had just accepted being a victim of his circumstance. And so he was just asking for handouts. And so waiting for someone to help him, and then there is waiting to be picked. And either way, you're kind of powerless and you're at the mercy of others, right? And then I watched a video that was, yes, I watch a lot of videos when especially when I'm having hard days. I watch videos that inspire me or encourage me. And so then I watched another video, and they were talking about, like, when someone hurts you, or like even and maybe even especially on social media, if someone is rude to you or makes a snide comment, or if just somebody is mean to you, instead of getting snarky with them, or instead of talking to your friend and gossiping to that person, taking it to God. Because when you take it to God, the thing that hurt you, that person said, God is going to heal that part of you. That, like, you know, there's two sides to every story. And we're supposed to love our enemies. And it's really hard to love our enemies. But if we go and talk about that enemy to a friend, all we're doing is letting that fester in us, how that person did us wrong. And even if you take it to God, if you take it to someone else and to God, and think about who you go to first. Do you go to that friend first before you take it to God? Is taking it to God an afterthought? Do you take it to God and give it to, but then still take it to the friend and gossip? Even while wanting God to fix something, fix a situation, but you're going to gossip, which is a sin. Anyway, I've had a lot of hurt that I give to God, but then, which makes, you know, the victim mentality. But then I talk to other people about it. Because on some level, I want them to take my side. Because it's just like, I can't, anyway, it's just a crazy situation. And so I want somebody to comfort me and go, you're right, that's not fair. And I also want somebody to kind of stand up for me to that other person, because the situation does not allow me to. And so I feel like, let down, because they either can't or choose not to feel that need that I have. That only God can, ultimately. Only God can. And while there is a verse, y'all, that says that at some point, if we've tried everything we can and this person is still going down the wrong path or still living a sinful life, that we're supposed to pray them into the hands of the devil so that their life will be so bad that they will have no option but to turn back to Jesus and then be saved because they're going down the wrong path. And I mean, this is something that you see sometimes with like addiction. You just have to pray that their life will get so bad that they hit rock bottom. Well, anyway, this isn't really my situation, but there are times when the only thing you have left is to hand it over to God and then just be silent about it. And it gets to the point where, and I felt this really when my dad was suffering with Alzheimer's. There was a lot of other conflict that didn't involve my dad, but it was because of the situation with my dad. There were areas where there was a lot of conflict with people I'm close to, and the only resolution in the end that gave me peace was going to God and just not even talking about it with other people who were close to this situation that were on my side. Like there was like a group of people on one side and then one person on another side. And it got to the point where the only peace I could have was to take it all to God and not even tell the people that were on the same side I was on, because I didn't want them to get angry and upset. And I didn't want them to lash out at the person on the other side. It's very complicated, but sometimes it's like you have to protect your enemy from your friends. And that's why it's such a broken humanness. It's just such a broken system. And it's just, and that's why ultimately we just have to turn to God. There's no other option but to turn to God, not to turn to our friends, not to lash out at our enemies, because either way we are not glorifying God. Go into God, and even in hardship and under stress, we have to continue to turn to Jesus and to just give it all to Him. Lay it at the cross. Give it to Him. Trust Him that He's going to take care of it, because it's, if we cling on to stuff, it's just going to kill us. And y'all, stress is my biggest and almost only, now that I'm overweight, but guess why I'm overweight? Stress. And why I can't lose weight? Stress. I can eat so good and not lose weight. And I can eat badly and lose weight. It's bizarre. My body is just not under my control. And so until I get my stress under control, I've got to do something. And I exercise and I do what I can to de-stress. But yeah, it's in God's hands. I've got to give it to God and let Him, and I can see I'm getting close to the